Leaders and healers, gamers and claimers, ladies and gentlemen from around the globe, from around the universe, from around the community, welcome to the Power, Purpose, and Passion podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Cheam, speaker, life coach, trainer, author, a friend to you, family member, father, brother, son, happy husband, just a wealth of knowledge, wealth of wisdom, just wanting to share and care for the world and make our world better. This is a show where we help you claim your power, clarify your purpose, cultivate your deepest, widest, and highest passions possible so you can ultimately show up as the best, better, more sharpened, wiser version of yourself so you can ultimately inspire others to do the exact same, because that's what life is all about. In today's episode, if you were on yesterday's episode, we had some technical difficulties and we weren't able to complete the actual episode, The Power of Harmony. And so we're just going to entitle this podcast session, The Power of Harmony Part 2. And we're just going to continue with the aspects of harmony, living a harmonized life, or an amplified, harmonized life, and where you're aligned in your mind, your heart, your soul, your spirit, everything's aligned. And where all of you's moving forward, barely, when I say barely, if not no conflicts within you that says, you know what, fear is not going to be my master. I'm going to be the master of my fear. I'm going to lead with love. I'm going to lead with courage. I'm going to live the best, optimal, and craziest life as humanly possible. That doesn't mean that fear doesn't show up. That doesn't mean that challenges won't show up and problems won't show up. Problems are a sign of life. And you know what? We need to convert those problems and reframe those problems into opportunities. So thank you for joining us. Cameron, how you doing, my friend in Chatham? What's going on?
Hey, I'm doing very well in Chatham, actually. I'm so excited for the spring. I feel like you definitely understand what I'm talking about here.
Oh, dude, for sure.
But you know, I remain as pumped and excited as possible. And also, I'm just trying to get the best out of this, because this is where I can spend a lot of time reading and working on myself. While in the summertime, I'm going to want to be outside and adventure and do all this stuff. So I'm doing well, very well. And I'm excited to start the second part of this harmony thing. Yesterday, before the technical difficulties, we left off on talking about spending time with yourself, and I definitely did that with the cabin. I didn't have any service or Wi-Fi or anything. It was just me for a weekend, and it was one of the most powerful things I could possibly do. And it's weird how I totally forget that a lot of people are kind of afraid of that kind of thing, being alone. And I don't know, my aunt drove me there, and she was saying, man, I don't know how you can do it. I would be so scared, spending a weekend by myself in the woods, in a cabin, is just be weird for me. But I think the more people open themselves up to themselves and the full spectrum of themselves, and just let themselves express anything that is inside, not pushing anything down, just being you 100%. It's best to do that alone, right? Because nobody's watching. You can do whatever you want. It's not, you don't have to worry about what people think at that point. So I'm curious as to where you were going with that topic.
Well, you know what the reality is Blaise Pascal said. He said, all of man's problems or woman's problems stem from his inability to sit in a room alone by himself or herself. And if you can't do that, there's some fears and some things that you have not confronted with inside yourself. Fears, some shadow, some disenfranchised personality traits that you do not like about yourself, and your fear that what might come up when you're by yourself. But let me tell you something, confronting those things, accepting those things, letting go of your past, resolving some past issues, moving forward, extracting the lessons that you have not yet learned from your past experiences or from the current mistakes you're making, that you're making in your life. Because part of life is re-examining where you went wrong. Because if you don't re-examine and reflect on where you went wrong, how are you going to get the motivation to finally do it right? Right? If you don't re-examine and revisit the times where you really screwed up, where you effed up, where you just crapped up, and it was just a total dick move on your part, you're not going to get the motivation to do it right. You're always going to find a way to blame something or somebody else, or an event or whatever it might be, and your life is not going to get better. I often say to people, listen, if you don't take 100% responsibility for your life, for what shows up in your life, the results you wish to produce in your life, let me tell you something. You're going to continually wait passively to make things happen. That doesn't mean that you don't rely on divine intervention, but you have to do your part. You've got to do your part in the miracle process and the co-creation of your life, because you are co-creating your life. In fact, many people would say you are creating your life. You are the creator of your life. You are one with the Spirit. You're one with God. You are creating your life as God, depending on your spiritual beliefs. But the point of the matter is you have control of basically 1, 2, maybe 3 things. That is what you focus in on. All right. What you observe, and the meaning you give life, and the actions you take. That's basically all you have control over. What you focus in on, the meaning you give what you focus in on, and the actions you take. So all the other stuff that we try to focus in on what we can and can't control, let me tell you something, that's not going to benefit you. That's not going to empower you. That's not going to serve your greatest needs, your greatest desires. So when it comes to spending time on your own, when I first started meditation, when I first started going on my own to spend ample hours and minutes and days by myself, just by myself, it was scary because certain things came up as a result. But let me tell you something. It's almost like I fell in love with that part of me. I became more comfortable with silence. In fact, I'm a highly extroverted person. As you probably know, for the people that are listening to this podcast or watching, for the people that know me personally, I'm a crazy, high energized person. But as I've grown spiritually, physically, mentally, and wiser, I value my downtime. I really, really value that time in meditation. I really value my time in nature. I really value my time being by the lake or the ocean by myself, no agenda, just me and God and the world around me and my thoughts harmoniously passing through and parading through my conscious. And I just love that, just sitting in that observatory stance. And I think it was Franz Kafka who said, you don't need to leave your room, just sit at your table and wait. You don't need to wait, simply listen. You don't even need to simply listen, just sit silent and solitary, and the world will freely offer itself to be unmasked. It has no choice. It will roll in ecstasy at your feet. Wow, that's a powerful, powerful quote. Just sitting in silence, waiting, watching, examining, looking at your thoughts, looking at the nature of things around you. I mean, try this in nature. I mean, we're in winter in Canada. If you're in Florida or California or something, I'm sure you can do this. But have you ever sat and watched a spider weave a cobweb? And actually sat and marvel at how miraculous, amazing how a spider actually does that and catches their prey within their web. It is absolutely astonishing. Have you ever contemplated that? You can do that with water running. You could do that with the sun. You can do that with watching a blade of grass or a dandelion when the sun comes out, how it's unfolding and how the sun basically shines its power onto the earth, and the dandelion just spreads its, yellow flower, and it just buds and blossoms. It's amazing. And so for me, the metaphor for that is we must get attuned to the sunlight. We must get attuned to the light. We must get attuned to the divine that shines its power in us, around us, and through us, so we then can blossom like the dandelion or the flowers around us. I remember the one time I was meditating and I was looking outside, and I remember seeing the sun come up, and I remember seeing the sun kind of, how it's sort of, you see the darkness and then you see the light just kind of moving like into the shadows, and it started parading across the ground. And I remember watching that, and I remember watching the dandelions, and I remember the dandelions were sort of flopped over. And then instantly when the sun just shone on them on my backyard, it slowly started to kind of boop and reach towards the sunlight. And it was just absolutely amazing. So if the sunlight can do that with the flowers and all of nature around us, then the metaphor for that is we must touch the higher part of ourselves, which is the sunlight, the source of energy and power in our life, in silence, in prayer, in meditation, in solitude. Reach for that, connect with that source, so then we can stand up and show up as a better, higher version of ourselves, not this lower self-ego encapsulated bones and blood that we attach ourselves to, that, that's, basically impermanent and less and full of fear and full of cynicism and full of finiteness and limitation. You are limitless in your abilities. You are limitless in your ability to create, design, produce. You just need to tap into that more. Part of that is spending time with yourself. And I want to read a quote. I'm going to read a quote just as before I was on the show. And I don't know who the author is, but basically he said this: if you were alone in the universe with no one to talk to, no one with which to share the beauty of the stars, to laugh with, to touch, what would be your purpose in life? It is other life. It is love, which gives your life meaning. This is harmony. We must discover the joy of each other, the joy of challenge, and the joy of growth. Wow. That's just beautiful, right? And I have to say this, you know what? Let me tell you something. I was telling this to a client the other day. And I was expressing and educating them on the importance of spending time on your own and being okay with yourself and time in prayer and meditation. I said, I will love myself to love you. Will you love you to love me? And part of loving myself so I want to love myself, nurture myself so I can serve other people better. And if you love me, I want you to love you so you can love me more, so we can amplify love and magnify love even more. And part of loving yourself is giving yourself the gift of time alone in prayer, meditation, contemplation, quiet, journaling, whatever it might be, and just sitting and watching. It's one of the hardest things to do. Do you know what? One of the hardest poses, in fact, according to yoga, that one of the hardest poses to actually perform is that shavasana, when you're laying on your back and you're trying to remain still. Part of the reason why, my theory is, and I don't know, I'm an amateur at yoga, but that's no surprise why that's the hardest position, because you are in a state of non-doing. You're a complete state of surrender where you don't need to do anything, where we're taught and conditioned to go after our dreams and to go. Never were we taught to remain in silence and solitude and to appreciate the moment. And I remember even one of my spiritual teachers, and I've never met him before, but I consider him a spiritual teacher. I feel like he's a grandfather, a great grandfather of mine, Richard Rohr. And he talks about how he traveled, I think it was to Australia, and they're teaching meditation and contemplation to the youth in like grade 1 in kindergarten. And depending on what grade they're in, if they're in grade 1, they spend 1 minute in meditation. If they're in grade 2, 2 minutes in meditation. Grade 3, and they're teaching it at early ages to be okay with spending time on your own in silence, in prayer, and just with yourself and with your voice. And part of living a harmonized life is equalizing the amount of crazy, insane stuff that we bombard our lives with on a daily basis. And sort of equalizing it with time of silence and prayer. People I'm just going to go to sleep, and that equates to balancing and harmonizing my life. No, I'm talking about conscious silence and solitude to create that space between your thoughts, to create that space between stimulus and response, so you can touch a part of yourself that's untouchable, and that's higher and beyond anything that any challenge or problem can touch. Any thoughts there, Cameron?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a very inspiring topic because it is literally the direct opposite of what people tell you to do. And it's kind of funny. And I think it's like one of the greatest ways to really understand yourself, and also understand the parts of yourself that aren't really you. The parts of yourself that were given to you through what people have said, through what everyone has told you, through the TV you watch, the music you listen to, the people you're around. Yep. You ask yourself, are these really my thoughts, or is this really my opinion? Do I actually care about this? And when you go into silence, when you slow down, you're able to see the real you that's within. And it will, the more you connect with this, the more, like Anthony said, you don't need to go. You'll know what to do. It'll just it's like this weird flow some people call it. Just like going with your heart, following your gut, you know. I do it all the time, but it's definitely a matter of discipline. I would actually, like, as an example, like people do when they're on a diet, they would get rid of all the sugar in their kitchen. Anything that has like a ton of sugar, they'd get it out of their kitchen because they're gonna eat it. Like, it's just like we're biologically prepared to like reach for that kind of stuff. I would suggest you schedule time where there's no internet, there's no phones, there's no stimulation, there's just you. You know, even if you have to like drive out and walk into the woods and do it there, just go somewhere or do something where, because that's what I had to do with the cabin, and that it taught me a lot. It taught me how much I do take advantage of the internet and how much I get lost in this rabbit hole of like social media and headlines and videos, and just like I just get deep into this stuff, and then there goes 2 hours of my life. But yeah, what was I questioned? It was a really good one. I totally forget it, but yeah, what would you suggest for beginners who really just like can't sit still, and like people who like they think of this idea of harmony and they're like, that sounds really amazing, but how? Like, I want to be able to live that. Is it that people aren't willing to sacrifice the things necessary to get there, or like what?
Well, here's the thing. I was telling this to another client. When it comes to, people think I'm just going to take some action, and people relate action with results. When okay, let me ask you a question. So if I were to ask you to deliver a paper right now, the paper route, and I said, do you deliver that paper route either geographically or alphabetically? Which one would you do? Now, most people would go, I deliver it geographically. It would be completely silly to go through the whole phone book list and look at deliver it from last name from A to Z, because that would take 10, 12 hours to do that. Yet you're taking more action doing the one alphabetically, but it would take you a tenth of the time to do it geographically. But the other guy's working 12 hours. He thinks because I'm working 12 hours, I must be getting results. No, taking action doesn't necessarily mean results. People think taking action equates to results in the direction of their dreams and desires. So people think I'm just going to keep busy. If I just keep busy, then I'm going to get the results I wish. Not the truth at all. In fact, there was that one study with the caterpillars on the flower pot where they had the caterpillars following each other on the rim of the flower pot, and they had food in the middle. And the caterpillars were moving, but they were never going. No one was leading to actually get to the food in the middle. And guess what happened to the caterpillars? They end up dying. The caterpillars end up dying. Not a single caterpillar went to the center to actually get the food. And I can tell you right now, they were walking and they were taking tons of action, but they weren't moving in the direction of the dream. So don't confuse action with actual results. So what does that mean? It means while you go into silence, you go into solitude, you examine what it is you really want. You connect with that deep place about when you were a kid. You're like, this is what I really want. This is why I really want it. You go through a prayer of gratitude, and you connect with that part that's so loving and pure and infinite and limitless. And you just ask yourself those three questions. If you're a beginner to this, just sit in front of a computer or a journal and say, what do I really want? And take a few deep breaths, close your eyes, open them again, put your pen to the paper, do stream of consciousness, and say, I want A, B, C, and just start writing. I want this. I want that. I want to experience this. I want to experience that. Why do I want that? I want that because I want to experience this. I want to experience that. I want to have the love of my life. And then experience it. And the more you touch, because most people are spending more of the time, as we talked about yesterday, more time on what they fear and rather than what they want. Focus on what you want and you'll go there. Focus on why you want it. Focus on what you're grateful for, not what you fear. And the more you will stay attuned to what's beautiful and bountiful in this world, the more you're going to see it, the more it's going to show up in your life, and the more you're going to exude it in every aspect of your life. And that is so important. I have to say, what I'm telling you right now is how I live my life. the person that you're seeing and hearing through this podcast is a product of what I'm telling you, that I spend time in solitude. I read a lot of positive books and material. I meditate, I pray, I attend a lot of seminars. I listen to a lot of audios, and I just continually feed my mind, align my mind, my heart, my gut, my soul, my spirit. Every fiber of my being is telling me, is encouraging me, is pulling me towards the purpose that I've been brought here to fulfill, and that is to serve people through speaking, through coaching, through training, through authoring, through singing, through music. And that's what I was brought here on this planet for. It's almost like I don't even have a choice anymore. How did I arrive at that? Truthfully, it comes back to time in solitude, time for yourself, to focus, to connect with that part of you that really wants to do something, wants to make a difference, to make an impact on the world around you through whatever your unique purpose, your delivery system, or your talents or gifts. You're here to do that. You're here to express it. You're here to give that to the world. And if you don't give it, we all suffer. Part of the reason why I do what I do is so that I can ignite and inspire others to do their passion, to express their purpose, to claim their power, so all of us can be beneficiaries of that. Because if I don't claim my power, clear from my purpose, and cultivate my passion, to live what I'm teaching, then all of you suffer. And the more I love myself, the more I'm loving you, the people that are listening. And the more you're able to love yourself, people that are listening and watching, the more you're going to love me, because you're going to basically return the love that was given to you. And that's what I'm doing. I feel like I haven't really achieved anything. It's the love that I've connected to that's achieved great things in me, that's allowed me to achieve. That's, as metaphysical and crazy spiritual as it may sound, I feel like I didn't create my own heart. I didn't create this body. I didn't make my own eyes. It was the divine. I've connected with the infinite, the divine, that has basically spoken the unspoken words to me that says, go and live your life. Don't die with the music still in you. And part of connecting with that is time in solitude, in solitary, in silence, harmoniously connecting with yourself, what it is you want, what it is you want to create, your purpose, writing it down, reflecting on what's important, what you value most, giving thanks to the world. In fact, I will end this podcast right now by saying this. I was having a conversation with a client just recently, and I said, the more I grow, and I'm kind of just making it up right now, but this is the gist of what I said. The more I've grown in wisdom and in love, the more I realized to master life, you want to master these three things. Now, I'm not saying this is the be all end all, but based on what I've learned and how much feel like I've achieved, I feel like I've, what's the word I'm looking for? What I've experienced and contemplated, and what the divine has shared with me, I feel like these three components are probably the most important to cultivate in order to master your life. And number one is gratitude. Number two is awe, just standing in complete awe and bewilderment of the universe around you. And number three, simplicity. Gratitude, awe and bewilderment, and simplicity. That's it. If you can live with absolute gratitude and appreciation for your life every day, awe and bewilderment of everything that's around you, and expressing that and giving thanks for those things, and then taking action and giving love to people through your gratitude and through the awe and bewilderment and excitement of your kid-like curiosity, and then finally living a simple life where your material things don't own you. That doesn't mean that they're not important. They just don't own you, and they're not the epicenter or the center or the nucleus of your life. So hopefully this session of harmony, it went all over the place here, but hopefully it helped you guys out here. So if you love this podcast, guys, we'd love for you to hear from you, either by sharing this podcast or subscribing into it on many platforms that we have on iTunes and Facebook and Instagram, whatever it might be. Comment, question, like, whatever it is. We'd love to hear from you. We love the fact that you join us on a consistent basis and you listen to it either actively or passively. So to your continued upgrade and evolution, live it up with power, purpose, and passion. May you live a harmonious, loving, and purposeful of life. Okay, guys, to your endeavors and dreams, may they be fulfilled. God bless, guys.